Without any further delay, let's dive right into that conversation with Kenny Okolugbo, a public affairs analyst and House of Representatives candidate for Onochie Federal Constituency in Delta State, on the nomination of Lauretta Onochie as chairman of the NDDC and other matters arising. Good morning to you, Mr. Okolugbo.
Good morning. It's so good to see both of you again in the studio.
Here. Good morning. Thank you.
All right. Well, of course, lots of controversy around this development. Let's just get your first take on it. Why do you believe that there is such an impassioned view around this from the public?
Before I go into that, I just wanted to correct my brother Steve Ayorinde. I was the commissioner representing Onochie Nation in the Sopadek. I was not the chairman. But I was happy he promoted me to the chairman. I was glad.
Well noted, Mr. Okolugbo. We note that.
All right. So, the thing about it is I have been one person that has, first I did a solo crusade until my brother Kolawole joined me on this issue of the board of the NDDC. We were very unhappy at what the president did during the time of the former minister of the Niger Delta. He practically ran the NDDC like as if it was a personal empire. If you trace the history of our take as at that time, what we were calling was for the board to be inaugurated and the representative of the 9 states to also be inaugurated, and also the executive director of projects, executive director finance, and the MD. But you see, what has happened with the APC government is that at the twilight of his administration, he has now decided to heed our call. And not only did he decide to heed our call, he has also now made appointments that have stirred up controversy. Well, I might not be bothered with the fact that Lauretta Onochie is from a non-oil producing local government, Onochie North in Delta State, because the act says that you don't have to appoint someone from the oil producing area, so to say. It only bothers about the representative who is going to come from Delta. But what my bother is why Lauretta Onochie? What experience is she bringing into the commission? She was appointed into INEC. It raised a lot of dust. She has been very controversial as a social media special advice or assistant to the president. I remember the first time I came on a show we had. I think that was the first time she ever had a television program. She came as a member of the Buhari support organization. It goes to show that the president is actually making these appointments with sentiments. And, such appointments should not be made on the basis of sentiments. It should be made professionally. For example, I'm from the Onochie area. We have the largest gas reserves, I'm sure, in Nigeria. We actually have gas we transmit to the power holding companies that is producing 480 megawatts from the Okpai area. It took a whole lot for them to even manage to step it down in Okpai and maybe Benekuku. They have not been able to step it down in the other areas of Onochie Nation. And apart from gas, we have oil. And I expected that there are APC members from the Onochie Nation. I am not from the APC, but I thought they should even give this appointment to someone from that region, even though I have said it that the act does not specify that you must come from the oil producing area. We must be very clear for you to be chairman. It only specifies for you to be a member of the board. And now, what are we talking about? The NDDC has been one that has been fraught with so much stories of fraud, so much stories of contracts that have been abandoned, so much stories of being a cesspool for corruption. So you must be able to appoint those who have integrity at this material point in time. It's like taking into the fact that those of us that were pushing us at that time when Akpabio was the I can't count the times I was on Arise and maybe your other sister station channels to speak about this issue of NDDC. He should have been more circumspect about it. But knowing the president, once he has made an appointment, he's very stubborn about such appointments.
Oh, yeah, sorry, very quickly, please. Are you suggesting that Lauretta Onochie has no integrity?
No, I'm not saying she has no integrity. The fact that he had already pushed her to INEC, and it caused a lot of controversy because she's a card-carrying member of the APC. and he shouldn't have pushed her to INEC. Now, bringing her to NDDC gives the connotation that he just wants to make sure he gives Lauretta Onochie an appointment, other than that, the special assistant that he has given her. And you see, for me, I'm making a case for the Ndokwa, who are oil producing, because you see, Lauretta Onochie is from Delta North. I am from Delta North. So if you have to give the appointment to Delta North, there are APC members from Ndokwa Nation that are qualified to become the chairman of the NDDC. So why didn't he give it to the oil producing area of the Ndokwa Nation so that we can have a sense of belonging? I'm just using that as a case study because it's very obvious now that it's the turn of Delta to become the chairman of the commission, which was why they pushed against the earlier board that nominated Bernard Okolugbo as the MD. They felt that it wasn't Delta's turn to produce the MD. And if you look at the appointment that Buhari did, he specifically said the MD is only going to spend 2 years. That is the Bielsa MD will spend only 2 years to complete the tenure of the former MD. So in the whole board, it's only the MD that his tenure is going to be 2 years. The others will have the normal tenure of 4 years.
All right, Kenny. Well, I mean, you said why Lauretta, and what a lot of people will say is why not Lauretta? And you also asked, what is she bringing to the table? A graduate of the University of Benin with additional qualifications from Greenwich University, as you're aware, from Harvard University, you know. You are saying, what does she bring to the table? And my question to you...
I'm talking in terms of
well, she's not coming to be the Governor General of the Niger Delta. She's just coming to chair the NDDC board. So my question basically, Kenny, if you just give me a second, my question to you is, what do you think the core duties of the chair of the board of NDDC will be, and what will be the expectations of the oil, communities and all the states of the Niger Delta, all the 6 states of the Niger Delta, as far as the NDDC chair and the board will be concerned?
Okay, that's very good. Okay, first of all, the MD is the chief accountant of the NDDC. That's what the act says. He's the chief executive of the NDDC. But as the chairman, Lauretta is expected to act as a check and balance on the excesses of not only the MD, but also the executive director projects, executive director finance, and the entire board. So she's going to be the face of the commission. So if you say you're the chairman, she should be able to have, you must be able to bear. Ndoma Igba was the chairman of that board. Don't forget. I'm not trying to look down on Lauretta or the fact that she's female. What I'm saying is that Lauretta went to school. I didn't say she didn't go to school. But what experience is Lauretta going to bring on board? For example, when I was in Desopadec, I was given a story when I was campaigning of how I was able to have a scorecard of 90 projects, and nobody has been able to doubt it. I had only 4%, if I must tell you, Steve, as the commissioner representing the Ndokwa Nation. I was with my guy the other day, Dr. Emmanuel Udua, and we spoke about a lot of things. And I was able to tell him that, look, for example, members representing other non-oil producing areas of the House of Assembly who had projects allocated to them, but they could not cite it in their areas, I would lobby them and get those projects cited in Ndokwa Nation, for example. And so a lot of people didn't know that that was the wind beneath my wing. And they couldn't understand how someone who had only 4%, the Ishekiri commissioner had 29%. What I'm trying to say here is that you must be able to navigate when you are given such positions. The NDDC is a very, very important commission. You can see the controversy the NDDC always generates in the whole of the country anytime the issue of the NDDC comes up. It's a very important commission that you just cannot bring someone who does not have that experience to bear. Okay, for example, Lauretta should be able to rein in on the MD if he starts cutting corners. She should be able to call board meetings and should be able to insist that all contracts, the tender board, must come before the board. If you have a very powerful MD, the MD will overshadow Lauretta and take Lauretta for granted. These are the issues that people have raised. But then again, the issue is why Lauretta? Because she has been nominated to INEC. That is just what a lot of people cannot understand. Why does the president seem so desperate to give Lauretta a position before he leaves government? Is it because Lauretta was a member of the Buhari support organization? That's what I've actually established. That the first time I was with her on television, she came in as a member of the Buhari Support Organization. That's when I got to know who Lauretta Onochie was.
All right, so it sounds as though you question her capabilities in handling the, of course, what comes with this office. But let's also look at other views apart from those that you've shared. A very good example would be from certain groups such as the members of the Coalition of the Delta Jaw Producing Communities, who have actually described this appointment as a slap in the face, considering the fact that they feel marginalized and relegated to the background yet again. What is your take on this view?
Well, the Ijaw communities, like I'll give you an example. When I was in the SOPADEC, until now, they take 27% of the SOPADEC because it's seen as a production quantum. Yes, I agree that for now, they say the Ijaws produce more oil than maybe the Ndokwa and the Isoko nation. But the truth about it is that we need to also go back to quantum of production. It's not being visited again. While the Ijaws are pushing for themselves, I am, for example, pushing for my Ndokwa brothers. They see it as a slap because they are oil producing. It's like the executive director, the nominee for the executive director for projects, Ogumola, that is from Ondo State. He's not from an oil producing area. And I know a lot of people are kicking in Ondo against his appointment. So it's not even only Lauretta that is causing this controversy. What I'm saying is that the president should have known that if he has taken all this time to make this nomination, then he should have tried to make it as much as he can. I mean, there's no nomination you make that people will not raise eyebrow. But he should have tried to put square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. That's exactly what I'm trying to point out here. Because by the time you appoint people that are not from oil-producing areas, the oil-producing communities will feel marginalized, will feel that they've not been carried along, will feel that they have not been given that sense of belonging, which is why they say the geezer who lays the golden egg deserves a fair share.
All right. But what precisely do you think should be the expectations? I don't think that it will be fair to assume that a chairman of a board will not perform where there is a board and where there is an MD. I think that she should be given the benefit of the doubt. And I believe that she doesn't have to come from Ndokwa, for her to be nominated. But having been nominated, awaiting Senate's confirmation, what in specific terms do you think that the entire Niger Delta will be looking for in this new dispensation? At the board, not just as the chair of the board, but, as a board, what will be the key areas that you think that NDDC should focus on? Areas that have been neglected in the past, and the direction that it should take first, in the remaining months of President Muhammadu Buhari, and of course in the next 2 to 3, 4 years. I think those will be the key things and the matrix by which you will be able to judge her, and not just the fact that, she doesn't come with sufficient experience or expertise in the oil field.
Okay, what I would expect her to do is, first of all, release the report. If she goes through Senate clearance and she's cleared and eventually the board is inaugurated, I want her to release the forensic report. The forensic report has not been brought to the public domain. We want to know those who abandoned those contracts. We want to know those who have been milking us dry in the Niger Delta. We have complained over and over again that the Niger Delta has been shortchanged. You can see how passionate I am about my region, the Ndokwa area. I go to areas in Ndokwa Nation, you cannot believe it. They do not have access to, radio. They cannot even have signal on their phones. These are, especially in the Ndokwa East area, which has more oil than Ndokwa West or Okwani local government area where I come from. The area is neglected. There are people living in abject poverty and squalor. I'm not saying that the federal government has not done enough for my people. I just use it as an example. So what I want her to do is to release that forensic report. Let us, first of all, shame and name those who have milked the NDDC dry, who have bought private jets with our money, who have bought houses in London and houses in America with our money, who have been using our money to oppress us, so to say, and look at us in the face and tell us to hell. That is exactly what we expect her to do. Then she should actually put up a roadmap and go to and initiate committees that will go on inspection of these projects that have been abandoned. The ones that they can revoke, they revoke immediately. The abandoned projects, they immediately award it to other contractors. And make sure those projects are completed, and suspend any project award for 1 year so that they can consolidate to the funds that they will have on making sure that these projects are completed and will have the necessary impact on the people. Don't forget again that we're also complaining from Delta State that we have no nominee. I think that would have to be corrected. That must have been a lacuna. This is another place I condemn what President Buhari did. How can you release the nominees? A state like Delta has no representation. You should know that the chairman has nothing to do with the representation we're supposed to have as a state, which would also appeal to him to ensure that the person comes from the oil-producing area, Steve. And the most important aspect, again, is recover the funds that have been stolen. People should be put on trial. People should be made to go to jail. And let us put a bold face to this corruption. That is one of the, anti-corruption fights. That is one of the mantra that has brought the president to power. He can leave us with that legacy, and we might forgive some of the other things he did with Akpabio, leaving him to reign on us and hold us to ransom with the NDDC. I mean, the present MD, Emmanuel, I've looked at him, he's doing quite well. I didn't even think that they were going to bring a board almost immediately. But it was obvious that he just came in as a stopgap. But he comes with a huge experience because he has been in the NDDC. Such a person should also be taken into consideration, maybe not as a member of the board, maybe because he comes in as a civil servant, but they should carry people like that along. I have no interest, I don't know them, but I'm not a member of APC, but we just want, but I'm a stakeholder, being a former commissioner in Desopadec, and also one who is very passionate about Mandokwa people who are oil producing.
All right. So, of course, we have a 15-member board that has been announced so far. Let's, the same manner in which we are analyzing and looking at what the capabilities are and their expected duties around these offices, let's get your sentiments around Dr. Samuel Obuku, the managing director nominee. Do you believe that he's up to the task in light of all these duties that you've highlighted?
Well, Dr. Obuku, for me, the 2 years is a caveat emptor. So I wonder psychologically how he would perform, because he already knows that he's tenured for only 2 years. It can come in two ways. First, that can propel him to work, but that can also be discourage him, because he knows that in 2 years I'm leaving, and it's been specified even in the nomination. Obuku, I don't know so much about him, but people that know him says that he will be able to perform. And I wouldn't want, just like you rightly said about Lauretta, I haven't said Lauretta will not perform. All I have said is that Lauretta lacks the experience, and I beg for her to correct me that she has that experience. And also, why her? Because of the controversy that the nomination to INEC generated. But for me, I think we need to move on. We need to have the board. It's better we have the board than to have a one-man riot squad controlling the whole of the NDDC. But the most important aspect is the president should quickly nominate the member representing Delta State in that board so that we can move on. And that's what I think.
But isn't that a sentimental, call?
No, it's sentimental. It's our right. It's in the act. Yeah. Delta must have a nominee. He didn't give us a nominee.
That's correct, but Lauretta is from Delta, isn't she?
No, the chairman has nothing to do with this. The chairman is stated from the representative. Just like the MD, Bayelsa still has a nominee. Ondo still has a nominee. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
The chairman, executive director of projects, executive director of finance, and the MD do not have anything to do with the fact that their states would not have a representation in the board. So it must have been an oversight on the president. But he should really, that tells you that some of these things are done without the president's scrutiny. He should have it.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, Kenny, that's fair enough. But when you list as part of your expectations for the board, particularly, Lauretta, being the chair of the board, the fact that you need them to release the result of the forensic, report. I mean, isn't that? But it was the minister. It was the honourable minister that commissioned that forensic, thing. Why can't the minister release it? Why do you need to wait for the board to be constituted?
There was no board, Steve.
Yeah.
There was no board. The beauty of the board, now that the board is going to come in place, Lauretta now becomes the supervising person, so to say, of the board. If Lauretta was there already, the minister would not take charge. The minister is only taking charge because there is no board. The board is supposed to act as a check and balance on the excesses of the MD and the executive directors and other members of the commission. So it behoves on her now to ensure that that report is released if she successfully gets cleared by the Senate. And I hope this kind of interviews will put pressure on her to act if she becomes the chairman. She shouldn't see it as being hostile. She should see it more like constructive criticism.
All right. You spoke about what we'll call the rot that currently exists within the NDDC under past dispensations. Is this one that you believe would undergo some sort of overhaul in light of what we've seen so far with the developments we have at hand? Do you believe that we can get the NDDC back to a point where you could be proud of?
Yeah, that's exactly what we are saying, because we don't want for it to continue to be a cesspool for corruption. So what we are saying here is that we want there to have that drive, first and foremost. By the time like the suggestion I gave, by the time you suspend projects for a whole year, what would you achieve? All the funds that would have been used for new projects will now be voted into old projects and abandoned projects, because people have this thing about them. I want to have my own projects. I want to own my projects. I'm the nominee, for example, from Delta State. Ken Okolugbo must have his projects. I want to be associated with those projects. It's like I was telling somebody, some of the abandoned projects I had, because there's no way that we don't have abandoned projects when I was in the SOPADEC, until I spoke to the member representing us now, and he lamented the fact that there were no funds. I felt that it was a deliberate action not to complete them because he wanted to own his own projects. But people actually do that. They forget that it's government money. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So if money is now voted to those abandoned projects, it will give life to NDDC. Then we will now actually know that this board is there to actually correct the ills of the past. Because NDDC, whether we like it or not, we can hide it. The forensic audit actually brought to fore all the things that have been said has been a cesspool of corruption.
All right, Kenny, let's talk a bit about the state of the race in Delta State. You've put yourself forward to run for the House of Representatives to represent Ndokwa Federal Constituency. But we have not heard much from you or from even the party, whose platform you're using, Accord Party. We know what PDP is doing. We know what APC is doing. To an extent, Labour Party in Delta State. Where are we as far as your aspirations are concerned? Or are you just doing this on television alone?
No, you've not heard from me. You're talking to me. I'm in Obiaruku, for example. I've been in Obiaruku for the past almost 2 months. I haven't even seen my family. You've not heard from me, and I've not been on radio or television because I'm working. I'm going to communities. What I'm doing is I have 30 wards, for example, in the Ndokwa Nation. But I've decided that some of those wards, for example, let me use Ward 10, Ashaka, in Ndokwa East. You have Ashaka, you have Egwede, you have Okwarudo, you have Ugute, and you have Ushe. These are all communities in Ward 10 in Ndokwa East. I intend to visit those 5 communities. I don't intend to go to only one community and say I've visited a ward. I have gone to Mwebu, my ancestral home. I've gone to Amai. I've gone to Ijopo. I'm going to be in Ebede tomorrow. I am doing what you call grassroots campaigning. I intend to win these elections by a large margin. Now, back to what you're saying. You have not heard of Accord because I don't even know our presidential candidate. It's a pity, but I don't know him. I've never met him, Professor Chris Imumole. So that is why you're not hearing about us. He's not doing enough to make himself. I don't like lying. He has not asserted himself, and I would not want to deceive myself. And again, we don't have a governorship candidate in Delta for Accord. We don't have a senatorial candidate in Delta for Accord. For example, in Okwani, where I come from, we don't even have a House of Assembly candidate. So I think I'm the highest office candidate in Accord. But we have a very strong candidate, Fidel. I haven't met him, but I'll meet him because I have a state caucus meeting on Tuesday in Anyocha North. I can see he's doing very well, and he's most likely going to win that election of the House of Assembly in Onochie North. We also have a very strong candidate in the Ijaw area. So there are about 3 of us that are very strong. But you should also understand that Accord is not a party that donates nationally. So we have put life into Accord because we cannot have individual candidacy. But I can assure you that the Ndokwa people who are hearing me here will tell you that Accord is being felt in every nook and cranny of Ndokwa Nation now. And I'm going to be the candidate to beat.
All right, Kenny, just before we let you go, it sounds to me like you're running almost like an independent candidate. But what do you say? Right. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But what do you say to people who are saying or murmuring that if you had waited a bit, maybe you could have joined the Labour train, to ride on the popularity of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party? Maybe that would have put you in a better stead than the Accord where you are. That's what people are saying.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair to Labour Party, I appreciate them very well. Dr. Doyin Okupe, I will say this on national television, offered me to be the spokesperson of Peter Obi. I saw it as an honor and a privilege. In fact, he was very passionate about it. Dr. Okupe is somebody I respect a lot. He thought that there should no other person who fit into being the official spokesperson of Dr. Peter Obi but myself. But why I turned it down was that for Labour Party, they are doing very well. They are resonating with the people here in Delta. I was having a discussion with one of the members of my former party, and I was telling them that, look, do you know Labour is doing a lot better in the presidential than even governorship here? They're almost absent in the governorship race. And he was like, are you serious? I said, yes. I said the vice presidential candidate, our governor, must have to up his beats because there are a lot of intelligence reports that he might not be getting here with the way Labour is doing very well here in Delta State. But why I didn't join Labour was that I had my reasons for not joining Labour. I felt that I could go it on my own. I've been a goal-getter. Like I give you an example of doing 90 projects. I don't think there's any commissioner in Delta State that have done the projects I've done. When I mean commissioner, I'm talking about the Sopadec that's done the projects I've done with the little I was given. I've always learned to struggle on my own. Yes, it's been very expensive and it's not been easy, but I wanted to go the hog. Maybe people now, I'll be the first person to sponsor a bill in the Federal House of Representatives, and I believe I'll win, to allow independent candidacy and not political party platforms for you to run an election.
All right, Mr. Kenny Okolugbo, of course, a lot to get through, but such little time. We want to thank you for joining us again this morning.